Hello everyone, this is Rebel Flare of Tink That, and today I'm going to be giving you a quick simple guide to obtaining the Singing Sunflower Companion. Now this companion is actually based off of the sunflower plants in the PopCap game Plants vs. Zombies. And if you listen close enough, your sunflower companion will actually sing the theme song of this beloved game, which I find cute and somewhat morbid. But to actually obtain this companion, you'll have to complete a 5-step tower defense style minigame questline that is very similar to Plants vs. Zombies. In fact, you'll be playing Peacebloom versus Ghouls. You begin this questline in Hillsbrad Foothills on the Brazy Farmstead located just south of the Dalaran crater. Accept your quest from the Goblin Brazy the Botanist and you will immediately enter the tutorial. Once you've entered the game, you are introduced to your first plant, the Spitter, which costs 20 solar power. Solar power is automatically dropped every few seconds, and in later stages, there will actually be a way to produce more. Each solar ball is worth 5 solar power, and to collect it, you need only left-click it once it's dropped onto the field. In this stage, you'll also be introduced to the zombie enemy, which has less than 500 HP, moves slowly, and dies quickly. To complete this phase, merely collect all the solar power you can and plant spitters in the center row of the field. This introduces you to the concept of the game: kill enemy invaders before they reach Brazy's home. Two more important notes are that each plant has its own cooldown, so even if you have the solar power, you can't mass produce one particular plant. Also, if the guano starts to hit the fan, there is one last-ditch effort Brazy has implemented. If the enemies have reached beyond the field, they will activate a Fertilizatron. This will destroy all enemies and plants in the row is activated, and each row can only be activated once. In the next phase, you gain the Sunflower plant, which only costs 10 solar power and will also generate 1 extra solar globe per cycle. Go ahead and plant 2 sunflowers and then place a spitter at the approaching zombie. Plant 1 to 2 more sunflowers and then a spitter, and then repeat this process. Now for this stage, attackers will only spawn in the center 3 rows, so these will be the only rows you need to place spitters. You will soon learn the Freesia plant, which does less damage than a spitter, but it will temporarily slow down its target, which is useful against the next type of enemy, Ghouls. Ghouls have just under 1000 HP, move quick, and do a little bit more damage than zombies. To complete the stage, ensure that you have at least 1 Freesia in each of the 3 center rows, then stock up on spitters with your remaining solar power and GG. For stage 3, you now have the ability to use a rock nut, which can block your attackers until they destroy it. Planting it only requires 15 solar power, so begin by planting 2 to 3 sunflowers and then blocking whichever row starts attacking first. Plant 1 to 2 more sunflowers and then place your first spitter. Remember to keep the first 2 columns of the field open to plant sufficient sunflowers. When a new row is attacked, block, spit, and then plant sunflowers in between your attackers. If you're unsure which row will be attacked next, feel free to plant a Freesia to keep your spitter off cooldown. But remember, you don't need more than 1 Freesia per row. When you have your 10 sunflowers, simply place rock nuts and spitters accordingly, and every time they are off cooldown. By the time the first massive wave starts attacking, you'll have ample defenses and enough solar power to ensure your rock nuts are replaceable and keep it that way. You'll soon learn how to plant the Strangler Vine. This costs 30 solar power, but it traps the nearest enemy, guaranteeing to kill it before it can reach your next plant. This is extremely handy when dealing with the new enemy, Aberrations. Aberrations have 3.4k HP and can destroy your plants very quickly. So, if at all possible, you want to ensure your vines trap these particular enemies. Otherwise, just continue to keep your rock nuts up and also replace your spitters if they are somehow consumed. Stage 4 is by far the hardest to defeat. In this stage, you have learned the Pumpkin Bomb ability. This costs 40 solar power, but it definitely is a lifesaver. Start by planting 1 to 2 sunflowers, blocking the first row of attackers, and planting a spitter in the next row attacked. Remember to use spitters first because they do more damage than freesias. All the while, plant more sunflowers when you can until you've reached the needed 10. All in all, this first massive wave is going to play out very similar to the last phase. Just continue to block whenever possible and continue to build your defenses. As soon as you see a lot of aberrations entering the field, you're going to use a pumpkin bomb to do a lot of damage to them all at once. Also, don't get discouraged if you happen to have to replant a spitter. This is going to happen several times throughout this phase. Once the second massive wave has started approaching, the shit is going to hit the fan. And don't be afraid to use a pumpkin bomb if things get a little bit scary. Remember to always keep a rock nut up if at all possible. When you're starting to feel like you're at the end of the second massive wave, rebuild all of your defenses. This is very important. You're not at the end. You're about to see some hellacious enemies. These enemies are known as abominations and they have 7.3k HP. They move pretty slow, but they hit very hard. In this case, since they're not affected by strangler vines, you're always going to want to have either a rock nut up or a pumpkin bomb since they'll do a ton of damage to them all at once. Kill these guys and the stage is over. In the last stage, you'll be fighting the boss known as Warden Stillwater. but first you're going to be fighting the same enemies as before. Remember to use the same technique where you plant 1 to 3 sunflowers, you block and then you spit, and then build accordingly. Make sure you have 10 sunflowers so you have ample solar power in the end. Note, your defenses won't be perfect when the boss actually does spawn. Now the boss Warden Stillwater has 35k health, but fortunately he does not cross the field. He will simply roam up and down the spawning area. He will occasionally throw a disease at several of your plants, so be ready to replace them quick. He will occasionally put an obelisk on a row, which will block him from attacks from your shooter plants. This makes pumpkin bombs a necessity. Maintain your defenses, keep high solar power, and pumpkin bomb the Warden every time it's off cooldown. Follow these 3 simple instructions and you will soon be the owner of a shiny new sunflower companion. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my quick tutorial and your new companion. If you found this video helpful, remember to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Also remember to like my page on Facebook. You'll find the link in the description below. Also a big shout out to Zach from Ink Trap Studios for creating my logo. You'll find a link to his website in the description below as well.